3 boats were swept away from where they were docked in North Troy. They traveled downstream in the fast-moving Hudson River.
The Collar City Bridge, which carries Route 7 into Troy, was shut down for hours as crews worked to secure the boats. Let's go to John Craig. He is live in Green Island this morning. John.
Yeah, good morning, guys. We can get a better picture of this. We're going to show you a close-up of it in just a second. It is over my shoulder, but essentially that summary is correct. 2 of the 3 boats did not make it over the dam. This one did, and the few folks that have been down here can't believe it didn't capsize. I'll show you some pictures now. We have caught all 3 on camera. The 2 are still secured. They are in the north of the dam, and they are tied up, and they'll be rerouted earlier or later this morning, I should say. The 3rd somehow got over the dam, and for some inexplicable reason was able to cut through all this ice until it came to rest where it is now, which is about halfway between Green Island and Troy. On the Hudson River. So if we come back to a live picture now, Donna can show you the blinking light that is out there. It is just sitting there, and in fact, when we came up, there it is, you see a live picture of it right there. And when we came up 787 and got off, there's another tugboat down by Watervliet. It is a fire boat that it can't get up the Hudson. It's supposed to come up and help to try to secure this, but there's so much ice there that it doesn't have a way to get through. So they're going to have to just wait this out and sit through this for the morning. We'll watch it for you and show you again the distance between the dam and where it sits now. We'll do that coming up. Right now we're live in Green Island. John Craig, News Channel 13.
John Craig is now standing by for a live update on the situation where boats broke away in Troy. John, what's the latest?
Yeah, sorry we couldn't join you a couple seconds ago. We've been moving, trying to stay on this side of Rensselaer County because we can't get back over to Albany County. What I can tell you is this is all ice and it has not moved. This is the Hudson River. We're down in Rensselaer. Patroon Island Bridge is back open. I can see some traffic moving there. So somewhere between the Green Island Bridge, Hoosick Street Bridge, there was a lot of moving water. They had closed those bridges, and those boats had broken free, including the Captain JP, which is that kind of day cruiser, evening cruiser. It had broken free, as did these tugboats. And now they apparently have been caught up again in the ice somewhere between here, Rensselaer, and back up in the Troy section. So it's hard to isolate because it is so dark out here, but we had potentially the Patroon Island Bridge closed for a short time. It is back open now, although there are some emergency vehicles up and just waiting to see if anything else breaks free or not. The Captain JP, according to one witness, did hit the Congress Street Bridge, so they're going to have to take a look at that and make sure that that is structurally sound, so that remains closed. The Troy Manans Bridge, as I understand it, remains closed at this time. The Green Island Bridge, though, and the Collar City Bridge, also known as the Hoosick Street Bridge, are open. That is my understanding. That's the latest information. I just had some kind of supervisor come down here. We're in near the water in the Hudson River at Rensselaer. So that's what we see so far. That's the Albany side. We're over here in Rensselaer. We're trying to isolate this for you. We've tweeted out some pictures that we have gotten from the tug. So this is all kind of unfolding here this morning. We'll try to give you a wrap up here in a little bit. Let's go back to you.
Okay, John, great reporting. Obviously a very developing situation, and we're going to have you back live to update us in a few minutes.
Sabrina, I'm right here along the river. You can see how fast it is moving. These boats have gone down river. We have a helicopter in the air. I'm between the Congress Street and the Troy Manans Bridge, and they've got all those blocked off. They are trying to isolate this. We just tweeted out some new video of one of the tugs that was stuck in the water, but it was moving down. So it's cased in ice, but it's moving, and they're kind of escorting it. That's the best I can tell you at this point. We'll keep following it for you. We're going downstream. Back to you.
All right, John, thanks for that update. Let's go to Neil Stano with a check on your forecast. Neil. Good morning. I'm Sabrina Vami. Breaking news. We have an update now on those boats, including large barges that broke away, causing some bridges to shut down going into Troy. John Craig has been following this all night. He is live now in Albany. What's the latest, John?
Sabrina, the water is moving much slower here in the Hudson River. We are at the Corning Preserve. I'm going to walk you back here because you don't see this very often. You got this train trestle. They've opened that up just in case something is to come through there. There are guys on the end by the tracks. They've turned it 90 degrees to watch and wait and see what could happen as these boats, barges may potentially come down. Right now, they are between here, we are told, and back up toward Watervliet. We'll keep following it for you. Back to you.
All right, John Craig, thank you for that update. Let's go to Neil.
Runaway boats colliding with bridges and causing major trouble on and above the Hudson River. The boats breaking free of their moorings due to ice and floodwaters. We've had crews on the scene all morning. Dan Levy's going to begin our coverage now from the Port of Albany, where a press briefing started just a short time ago. And Dan, what is the latest that you're hearing from officials?
Jerry, good afternoon. The DEC Commissioner Basil Sagos just wrapped up a news conference here at the Port of Albany, and he described what happened here this morning on the river as like a coordinated ballet on the Hudson River. Today, at least 8 different boats broke free from their moorings up in the Troy, Lansingburg, Watervliet area and began floating uncontrollably, recklessly down the Hudson River, nicking some of the bridge spans along the way. In one case, the Captain GP slammed directly into the Amtrak bridge. More on that in just a moment. Now, the apparent cause of this incident, officials suggest, was the extreme amount of ice that is on the Hudson River this year, but especially the changing temperatures going from cold to warm and back to cold, and the high tide this morning just made it very difficult. Commissioner Sagos asserted that there was no structural damage to any of the spans along the river. He also asserted that there was no environmental damage done to the river. Now, he said that because of the skilled efforts of the privately owned tugboat operators, all of the boats have been able to be corralled. The river right now is stable, and apparently noticeably missing from this river rescue effort this morning was the United States Coast Guard, and here's what Commissioner Basil Sagos had to say about that.
We coordinated with the Coast Guard right away, first thing this morning, when we learned that there were some barges loose in the Hudson, and I know that they are sending a boat up from mid-Hudson. I can't speak as to whether or not the shutdown, the federal shutdown, the lack of pay to federal employees is any reason as to why they're not here right now. But they're a good partner of ours. They know the river very well, and ultimately we're going to be working very closely with them on the recovery of these barges.
Again, back live down at the Port of Albany, where the Hudson River is stable after 8 different boats, barges, docks, tugboats broke free from their moorings this morning, but it was private tugboat operators who corralled them all and brought this situation to an end. Now, still up at the Amtrak bridge, the Captain JP is still leaning against that structure. One of the Amtrak trains was sort of crawled or walked across the bridge this morning at a low rate of speed, but the commissioner tells me that everything is safe and they expect it to be operational. The investigation is well underway, and we will have more on this during our early evening newscast beginning at 4 o'clock. With coverage you can trust, I'm Dan Levy, live at the Port of Albany. Jerry, back to you.
Our John Craig's been following the story since early this morning when the boats first broke loose. John, with the bridges closed and such, it was a real nightmare for commuters this morning. Dan's just telling us now that things are stable on the river. We can see the JP behind you. What's the latest for what you're seeing as far as commuter traffic?
That's right, Jerry. Commuter traffic back and running, but they had to do this kind of domino effect. This traffic was really snarled on any one of the 7 spans, and that includes this train one we had behind us. Matter of fact, as Dan was mentioning, they did very slowly bring a train over, test it to make sure that it was stable. The JP sits here, and we'll show you the number of people that are looking at it momentarily. But because the JP was just one of the many vessels that happened, but it all started with a tugboat. It all started overnight. 3 tugboats broke free in Lansingburg. One got over the Troy Dam and lodged in the ice between Green Island and Troy. That is until about 5:25 this morning. It got free and the chase was on. We thought we caught it by the Congress Street Bridge, only to find that the fast-flowing current had pushed it and several other boats and vessels downstream, some off their moorings. Authorities closed bridges to traffic in both directions as the boats spun and floated, guided by ice. For authorities, the chase continued. 2 tugboats came up to try and corral the barges and tugs. Even the Captain JP, all they could do was play defense and hope to slow it down. State police watched this all from overhead in a helicopter. unable to stop what was taking place just below them. Finally, the rusty anchor barge, which broke free from Watervliet, crossed down past the Corning Preserve boat launch. Then, the Captain JP cruise ship, which broke loose in Troy, hit the train bridge from Rensselaer County into Albany County just after 9. It had been free floating for 3.5 hours. And we come back live now here at the boat launch of the Corning Preserve. You can see the number of people that have come out. Actually, this is a low number. At one point, this sidewalk was full, maybe about 10 or 15 minutes ago, of people coming out with their photography equipment, some of their phones, just to get a look. There have been cars that have been coming down all in the last few hours just to get a look of that. The Captain JP lodged under there. They haven't brought any equipment around on how they're going to get it out of there yet. We should also tip our hat, literally, and I will, to Sidewinder Photography. There's a video out there that we have tweeted and shared and out there, and we may show it later, of when the JP had broken off early this morning about 5:30, and it scraped underneath the Congress Street Bridge. That, of course, caused a lot of alarm because they had to close the bridge to make sure it was structurally sound, and all these other vessels that went down along and through. Now, of course, they have to worry about how they're going to get that out and find out how they all came off their moorings in such a quick fashion. We're live down here in Albany. John Craig with coverage you can trust. News Channel 13. Jerry, back to you.
All right, John, thanks very much.